A soldier feels it coming, that tickle in his throat. His eyes go wide. 4 men freeze beside him. The enemy patrol is 30 meters away, boots squelching through mud. His chest convulses. He's about to cough. And in the Australian SAS, one cough means 5 men die in the jungle. No rescue, no extraction, just silence and death. Day 7. Somewhere in the jungle 40 kilometers inside Viet Cong territory. The kind of deep you don't come back from if things go wrong. 5 Australian SS operators are lying flat in the undergrowth, and one of them is about to break the only rule that matters. His name is Evans. At least, that's what we'll call him, because SAS records from Vietnam are still classified 50 years later. And right now, Evans can feel his throat closing up. There's a fire in his chest. His temperature has been climbing for 2 days. 102 degrees Fahrenheit yesterday, 103 this morning. And now, with a Viet Cong patrol passing 30 meters to his left, his body has decided it's time to cough. He tries to swallow. Can't. His throat is too swollen. He tries to breathe through his nose. The air won't come. His chest is tightening. The cough reflex is involuntary. It's not something you can stop. It's biology. It's your body trying to clear your airways. And in about 5 seconds, his body is going to make a sound that will kill everyone in his patrol. The soldier next to him sees it, recognizes the signs. Evans's eyes are watering. His shoulders are starting to shake. The other operative moves slowly, so slowly the human eye can barely track it. He reaches across, places one hand over Evans's mouth. The other hand goes to Evans's chest. He presses down, hard. This is a technique they taught in long-range reconnaissance patrol school, forced swallow suppression. You compress the diaphragm. You create a counterpressure. You turn the cough inward. Evans' eyes go wide. He's suffocating now. The cough is trapped inside his chest. His body is convulsing, but there's no sound. Tears stream down his face, cutting lines through the camouflage paint. He can hear the Vietnamese voices. Young men laughing about something. The smell of cigarette smoke drifts through the jungle. They're so close he can hear the fabric of their uniforms rustling. The VC patrol passes. 12 men, AK-47s slung over their shoulders. They have no idea 5 Australian commandos are lying 5 meters away, one of them silently suffocating to suppress a cough. The voices fade. The boots squelch away through the mud. Silence. The hand comes off Evans' mouth. He gasps, but it's controlled, quiet. The cough doesn't come, not yet, but it's coming, and everyone in the patrol knows it. To understand why 5 men would put themselves through this, you have to go back to day 1. The briefing, a room in Nui Dat Base, 1969. The mission parameters are simple on paper. 5-man patrol, 14 days, deep penetration reconnaissance. Your job is to count enemy movements, map supply routes, and identify base camps. The ratio is 5 of you against 200 of them, maybe more. You will not engage. You will not be seen. You will not be heard. The commander stands at the front of the room. He's been doing this for 3 years. He's seen patrols come back. He's seen patrols that didn't. He says it plainly. If you cough, you die. If you sneeze, you die. If you make any sound that doesn't belong in the jungle, you compromise the patrol. And if you compromise the patrol, everyone dies. There is no extraction for compromised patrols. There is no air support. There is no rescue. You are 40 kilometers from friendly lines. You are on your own. This is Long-Range Reconnaissance Patrol Doctrine, LRRP, the eyes and ears of the Vietnam War. While other units were fighting battles and taking hills, LRRP teams were slipping into enemy territory to gather intelligence. They were the reason commanders knew where to strike, where to avoid, where the enemy was massing for attacks. A single LRRP patrol could provide intelligence that saved hundreds of lives, but the cost was silence. Absolute, total, unbreakable silence. The Australian SAS took this further than anyone else. The American LRRP teams were good. The British were excellent. But the Australians built an entire system around the premise that sound was death. They developed 60-plus tactical hand signals, not just the basics, complex ideas, enemy battalion ahead, helicopter extraction needed, artillery coordinates, medical emergency, abort mission. Every concept you might need to communicate in a 2-week patrol, translated into gestures. They trained for months. In the jungle training camps outside Nui Dat, operatives would spend weeks learning to communicate without speaking. They'd go on practice patrols where talking was grounds for immediate dismissal. One soldier was removed from LRRP training because he unconsciously hummed while walking. Didn't even realize he was doing it. Gone. Because in the real jungle, that hum would get everyone killed. At night, When hand signals couldn't be seen, they communicated by touch. Tap on the left shoulder meant stop. Tap on the right meant move. 2 taps meant danger. 3 taps meant urgent. A squeeze meant immediate threat, freeze in place. They learned to read each other's breathing patterns. A change in breath rhythm meant stress, which could mean the soldier had seen something. But the hand signals were just the beginning. The real enemy wasn't the Viet Cong, it was the human body itself. Before insertion, each soldier was given a medical kit that would make a pharmacy jealous. Codeine tablets, high-dose cough suppressants, not the over-the-counter stuff, military grade, strong enough to stop a cough reflex for hours, antihistamines to prevent sneezing, constipation medication, because having to defecate in the jungle meant digging a hole, and digging meant sound, and sound meant death. Some patrols wouldn't have a bowel movement for the entire 14 days. Then there was the bladder problem. You can't hold your bladder for 2 weeks. You can't stop the need to urinate, but you also can't unzip your pants during an ambush. The sound of a zipper is distinctly mechanical. It doesn't belong in the jungle. And if you stand up to urinate, you create a silhouette. You create movement. So the solution was simple and brutal. You urinated in your pants. You sat there in the mud and the undergrowth, enemy patrol passing 20 meters away, and you let go. The urine would soak into your uniform. It would attract insects. It would cause rashes, but it was silent. One operative, interviewed years later, described having a leech attached to his eyelid during a patrol. He could feel it there, swelling with blood. The natural instinct is to rip it off immediately, but ripping creates movement. Movement draws eyes, so he left it there for 8 hours, until the patrol moved positions and he could slowly, silently remove it. His eyelid was swollen shut for 3 days. The mosquitoes were worse. Vietnam's jungle mosquitoes are relentless. They swarm in clouds. They land on your face, your neck, your hands. Every instinct screams at you to slap them, to scratch the bites. You can't. You sit there and let them feed. Your face swells up. Your hands blister with bites. You don't move, because the Viet Cong are hunting for movement. There's a case from 1967, not an SAS patrol, but an American LRRP. 6 men, deep in the A Shau Valley. They'd been in position for 9 days. Perfect silence, perfect discipline. Then one soldier sneezed, just once. A single sneeze. A VC tracker heard it from 200 meters away. Within an hour, an entire NVA company had surrounded their position. They called in extraction, but the helicopters couldn't land under fire. 4 men died in the fighting. 2 made it out, all because of one sneeze. The SAS learned from incidents like that. They studied every compromised patrol, every failure, every death. They adapted. They developed techniques. When you feel a sneeze coming, you press your tongue hard against the roof of your mouth. You close your throat. You breathe out slowly through your nose. It doesn't always work, but it works often enough. When you feel a cough coming, you swallow repeatedly. You compress your diaphragm. You take shallow breaths. You flood your system with codeine until the reflex dulls. But sometimes the body wins. Sometimes the infection is too strong, the fever too high, the cough reflex too powerful. And that's where Evans is now, on day 7, 40 kilometers from safety, with an infection that's turning his throat into fire. It started on day 5, a scratch in his throat. Easy. By day 6, it was a burn. His temperature was rising. He was taking double doses of codeine. By day 7, he was breaking. And the team leader, a man we'll call Harrison, had to make a decision that no training manual could prepare him for. Option 1, call for extraction. Use the emergency radio. A helicopter could be there in 4 hours. Evans gets medical treatment. He lives, but the mission fails. Worse than fails. Every other SAS patrol in the region is compromised because now the enemy knows patrols are operating in this area. They'll flood the zone with troops. They'll set up ambushes. The intelligence network that took months to build collapses, and all the soldiers who would have been saved by the intelligence this patrol was gathering, they die instead. Option 2, keep moving. Give Evans more codeine. Hope his body can hold out for 7 more days. But if he coughs, if his body finally overrides his will, the VC will find them. There will be no extraction under fire, not this deep. They'll die in the jungle, all 5 of them. Harrison makes the decision in silence. He can't talk to his team. He can't ask for opinions. He uses hand signals. We continue. Evans gets the signal. He nods. He swallows another codeine tablet. They keep moving. Moving through the jungle in silence is an art form. The Australian SAS developed a method called the ghost walk. You test each step before committing your weight. You lower your boots slowly, feeling for branches, for dry leaves, for anything that might crack or rustle. When you find solid ground, you transfer your weight gradually, heel to toe. Each step takes 10 seconds. A 100-meter movement can take an hour. You move at night. The darkness hides you, but it also means you can't see where you're stepping, so you move even slower. You feel ahead with your hands. You communicate by touch. The patrol moves in a line, each man's hand on the shoulder of the man in front. When the point man stops, everyone stops. When he moves, everyone moves. Absolute synchronization, a 5-man organism. During the day, they hide. They find dense undergrowth, ideally near water sources where the ambient sound is higher. They set up in a defensive circle, each man facing outward. They don't sleep. Sleep makes you vulnerable, makes you snore, makes you move. They take turns in a state of controlled rest. Eyes closed but breathing controlled, aware. On day 8, they see their target, a VC base camp, 60, maybe 80. This is what they came for. Harrison marks the coordinates on his map, counts the structures, identifies a communication tent, a supply dump, an ammunition cache. This intelligence will allow artillery to hit the camp in 3 days. Every soldier in that camp will die, and they'll never know 5 Australian commandos were sitting 200 meters away, watching. But to watch, they have to stay for 12 hours. They're in position from dawn to dusk. The VC are cooking food, playing cards, cleaning weapons. The smell of rice and fish sauce drifts through the jungle. The SAS haven't eaten hot food in 8 days. They're surviving on cold rations, compressed biscuits that you have to soften with saliva because chewing is too loud, dried fruit that you suck on and it dissolves. Evans is deteriorating. His fever is 104 now. He's shaking. Not the small tremors, full body shake. Harrison can see it. The other operatives. Evans is trying to control it, but he can't. His body is shutting down. The infection is winning. They wait until nightfall. When the camp settles, they ghost walk away. 200 meters, 500, a kilometer. When they're far enough that sound won't carry, Harrison checks Evans. His skin is gray. His breathing is shallow and rapid. His pulse is 140. This is sepsis territory. This is dying territory. Harrison makes the second impossible. They can't call extraction. They're too close to the target. A helicopter would give away the base camp's location, and the VC would abandon it before the artillery strike. But they also can't move at operational speed. Evans can't walk, not anymore. So they build a stretcher, using branches and parachute cord from their packs. They cut the branches with knives, slowly, wrapping cloth around the blade to muffle the sound of wood split. It takes 3 hours to build a stretcher that would take 20 minutes in normal conditions. And then they carry him. 4 men, 1 stretcher. They rotate every hour. The man not carrying walks point, watching for enemy patrols. Their speed drops to half, then a third. They're supposed to make 10 kilometers a day. They make 4. Day 9, day 10. Evans drifts in and out of consciousness. When he's conscious, he's aware enough to stay silent. When he's not, he mumbles, fevered words, names, places. Harrison has to keep a hand over his mouth during the worst moments, not to stop a cough, to stop him from talking, from revealing their position in delirium. The VC are everywhere now. They've increased patrols. Maybe they know something's wrong. Maybe it's coincidence. 3 times the SAS patrol has to freeze in place while enemy troops pass within 20 meters. Once they have to hide in a stream, lying flat in the water, breathing through reeds for 6 hours. Evans is unconscious. They hold his head above water. They can't let him drown. They can't let him cough. They just hold him. Day 11. The extraction point is 3 days away. Evans isn't going to make it. Harrison knows this. The team knows this. There's an unspoken rule in LRRP operations. If a man can't move, you leave him behind. You give him a pistol and enough ammunition to fight or to finish it himself. Then you move on. The mission is bigger than one man. The intelligence is worth more than one life. Harrison refuses. He doesn't signal it. He doesn't debate it. He just keeps moving. They carry Evans through the jungle. They carry him through rivers. They carry him up hills and down valleys. They carry him when VC patrols are 200 meters away. They carry him in absolute silence. On day 12, Evans wakes up, really wakes up. The fever has broken slightly. 102 degrees. Still dangerous, but not dying. Not yet. He sees the stretcher, sees his teammates' faces. He knows what they've done. He knows what it's cost. He signals, "Leave me. Keep moving." Harrison signals back, "No." There's a bond in LRRP teams that doesn't exist anywhere else. You spend 2 weeks in silence with 4 other men, trusting them with your life every second of every day. You can't talk to them. You can't joke or complain or bond the way normal soldiers do. but you know them. You know their breathing, their movement, their tells when they're stressed or scared. You read them the way you'd read a book, and that creates something deeper than friendship, something closer to family. They reach the extraction point on day 14, 0600 hours, dawn. The helicopter is scheduled for 0800, 2 hours. They set up in a defensive perimeter around the landing zone. It's a small clearing, barely large enough for a Huey. The jungle presses in on all sides, 0700. 1 hour to extraction. They hear voices, Vietnamese, coming from the south. Harrison signals, VC patrol, incoming. The team flattens into the grass. Evans is on the stretcher in the center. He's conscious but weak. His breathing is ragged. The patrol enters the clearing, 12 men. They're not searching, they're just passing through. But they're in the landing zone, right where the helicopter needs to land, and extraction is in 45 minutes. The SAS can't move. Movement will give them away. They can't fight. 12 against 5, and one of the 5 can't even stand. They have to wait, have to hope the patrol moves on, have to stay frozen in the grass while 12 enemy soldiers walk around them. One VC soldier stops 10 meters from Harrison. He's young, 18, maybe 19. He lights a cigarette, just standing there smoking, looking out at the jungle. Harrison can see the individual stitches on his uniform, can count the bullets in his magazine. The kid is staring right at him, right at the spot where Harrison is lying flat in the grass. But he doesn't see. The human eye is built to detect movement. Stay still enough and you're invisible. 0730, 30 minutes to extraction. The VC patrol is still there. Some of them have sat down. They're taking a break, passing around a canteen, talking and laughing. They have no idea. 0745, 15 minutes. In the distance, Harrison can hear it. The thump of rotor blades. The helicopter is inbound. The VC hear it too. They stand up. They're looking toward the sound. They know helicopters mean Americans, mean targets. They're readying their weapons. This is the decision point. If the helicopter lands, the VC will open fire. The crew will die. But if Harrison calls off the extraction, they're stuck here, and Evans won't survive another day. Harrison doesn't hesitate. He signals his team, prepare to move. The helicopter sound gets louder. The VC are focused on the sky, and in that moment when their attention is up, the SAS moves. They explode out of the grass, not ghost walking now, sprinting. Harrison and 2 others are carrying the stretcher. The 4th operative is firing, short controlled bursts, covering fire. The VC are caught completely off guard. It takes them 3 seconds to react. In those 3 seconds, the SAS covers 20 meters. The helicopter comes in fast and low. The pilot sees the tracers, sees the VC. He doesn't abort. He lands. The rotors are still spinning when the SAS reaches it. They throw Evans in first. Then the others pile in. The door gunner is firing now. The helicopter lifts. Rounds punch through the fuselage. The VC are fully engaged now, shooting at the rising aircraft. A bullet clips the tail rotor. The helicopter wobbles. The pilot fights it, keeps climbing. 200 feet, 500, 1,000. They're out of effective range. The VC are still shooting, but the rounds are falling. The jungle shrinks below them. 14 days of silence, broken in 60 seconds of violence. Evans is evacuated to the field hospital at Vung Tau. He spends 3 weeks there. Severe respiratory infection, complicated by sepsis. He lives, but he never returns to LRRP. The doctors say he's medically fit, but Harrison knows better. You can heal the body. You can't always heal what happens in the mind. The intelligence they gathered saves lives. The base camp coordinates are passed to artillery. The strike happens 36 hours after extraction. 63 confirmed enemy killed. Ammunition dump destroyed. Communication hub eliminated. Because of that strike, a planned VC offensive in the region is delayed by 2 months. The estimate is that 200 Australian and American soldiers didn't die because of the intelligence Harrison's team provided. But there's a cost that doesn't show up in after-action. 40% of LRRP operatives developed PTSD, not from combat, from the silence, from the constant hyper-awareness, from 2 weeks of suppressing every human instinct, from lying in the mud while your body screams at you to move, to scratch, to cough, to do anything, and you just lie there and take it. Harrison is interviewed years later. He's in his 60s now, living in Perth. He doesn't talk about Vietnam much. But when he does, he says the silence was worse than the fighting. In combat, you can react. You can shoot back. You can move. In LRRP, you're paralyzed. Every second of every day for 2 weeks, you're forcing your body to do things it's not built to do. And that breaks something. Not in everyone, but in enough. Evans is interviewed separately. He's in Melbourne. He says he can still feel it, that cough trapped in his chest. Sometimes he wakes up at night and he can't breathe. Not because his lungs don't work, because he's still trying not to cough. 50 years later, and his body remembers. His mind remembers. The cough that almost killed 5 men is still there, waiting. The SAS techniques are still taught. Modern special forces around the world study the Australian LRRP doctrine. The hand signals have been expanded, the medical protocols refined, but the core principle remains. In certain environments, sound is death. And if you can control your body, control your reflexes, control the involuntary responses that define being human, you can survive where others can't. The question that haunts these operations is simple. How much control do we really have over our own bodies? We like to think we're in charge, that our will is supreme. But a cough isn't a choice. A sneeze isn't a decision. They're reflexes, automatic responses built into our nervous system. And the SAS proved that with enough training, enough discipline, enough chemical suppression, you can override them. For a while, for 2 weeks, maybe longer. But there's always a cost. Evans paid it, Harrison paid it, every man who went on those patrols paid it. They came back alive, they completed their missions, they saved lives. But they left something in that jungle, something that doesn't show up in medical records or psychological evaluation. A piece of themselves that's still lying in the mud, 50 years later, trying not to cough while the enemy walks past. This is why the Australian SAS used sign language for 14 days, why one cough meant certain death. Not because they were superhumans, not because they were fearless, but because they understood something fundamental about war. The enemy can be beaten with bullets and bombs, but surviving deep behind enemy lines requires winning a different, the war against your own body. And in that war, silence is the only weapon that matters. If you found this story gripping, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more untold military history. Drop a like if you respect what these soldiers endured, and leave a comment telling me which Special Forces unit you want covered next. Thanks for watching.